for having us here to share our story.
Welcome, Mount Pleasant. That's a beautiful way to start the morning. We're glad to be with you. Are you ready to begin?
Yes! We are the town of Mount Pleasant!
You may begin.
A great southern town is a lot like a sweetgrass basket. It's never rushed because good things take time. Every piece fits together to create something extraordinary. Weaving in and out like the ebb and flow of a tide. An engaged community working in harmony where we can weave bonds of hope and trust, making the fabric of the community stronger and more colorful. Our story begins in a local pizza shop.
Class of 2023.
I can't believe we've graduated.
Hey guys, I got you some boxes.
Hey Trista, I didn't know you worked here.
Yes, Megan Lois hired me to take orders, take drink orders, and I bought boxes.
Our story started in a pizza shop. My son Rio has autism. When Rio was 10, I took him and his sister out for pizza. It was loud, it was busy. Rio went into a sensory overload meltdown. Unlike Meg's, who include everyone, this restaurant actually kicked us out. I thought to myself, why can't they understand that he's autistic? Why can't they just be nice?
I'm Rio's sister. Rio's nonverbal autistic, but he is really smart. He cannot make it today, but we're trying to help more people understand autism.
There's no facial recognition to autism. Rio looks absolutely typical, except super cute. But what could have been different if that restaurant had realized that he was autistic? My nonprofit, Just Be, is teaching businesses in our community how to become sensory-friendly environments. We're changing the narrative. You don't need to change the child to fit the environment. Let's change the environment to fit the child.
Like the woven sweetgrass basket where the bulrush and pine needles are added to give strength and color, our community becomes stronger and seek opportunities to include everyone. Together we weave.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
In late 2021, Layla came to the chamber to work with local businesses to accommodate people on the spectrum. The DEI conversation often overlooks neurodiversity, so we offered a program that addressed disability inclusion with our panel of nonprofit, town, and business leaders, including a local pizza shop.
My husband and I had a dream of one day opening an Italian restaurant. When my sister-in-law, Jill Marie, who has special abilities, came to live with us, it was challenging to find her a place to work. So, sooner than planned, we opened our restaurant, knowing that Jill Marie would be the heart of Meg's Pizza. We made it our mission to offer employment opportunities to the youth in the community that had special abilities. Each week, thousands of boxes made by special hands are folded with love by Jill Marie, Trista, and their team. Jill, can you tell them what you do?
I'm missing this box.
Jill Marie is the best box folder ever. The Millionaires have made a tremendous impact on the special abilities community by showing there's a place for kids and adults like my son Frankie, Trista, and Jill Marie to have a job. If you're facing workforce hiring issues, think about hiring these kids. You might need to be flexible, but they will always show up, they will work with a smile, and they will work hard. They have a tremendous positive impact on customers and employees, and we are all better because of them. With them, we all shine.
I worked for Max before going to college and Clemson in the Clemson Life program. I am a college graduate. Go Tigers! Thank you for Max for giving me a chance to work and learn. This is not about disabilities. It's about possibilities.
statewide initiatives with council members and first responders receiving special autism training, businesses expanding job opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities, and even sensory-friendly Christmas events where children could meet Santa Claus for the first time.
With our young people representing the strands of sweetgrass and our officers the strong palm fronds that bind the baskets, we weave patterns of trust, building a bond that endures into the future. Together, we weave.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Hey Matt, how did your interview with the Mount Pleasant Police Department go? Great. I start my community service officer job next week.
Congratulations, Matt. You know, I started off my police career just like you. As a teenager, I was a police explorer and community service officer before becoming a police officer.
Yes, sir, Deputy Chief. I learned so much as an explorer, but now as a CSO, I'll be able to assist the department with non-emergency calls.
We need more young people like Matt. We must be proactive and engage our youth in order to ignite an interest in our profession. Recruitment for police positions has become increasingly challenging due to multiple political and social forces and negative perceptions. Building positive relationships at an early age is critical.
14 Mount Pleasant explorers have become police officers. I'm going to be next.
Yes, sir.
Officer Dean, are you coming out to watch Field Day?
Of course, girls, you know I won't miss that. I see the positive impact that I make every day as a school resource officer. It is the department's most valuable and effective community policing programs. Last year, one of our officers was named SRO of the Year for the state for his work with our youth, both inside and outside of the school.
And as a school principal and someone who has worked in Mount Pleasant schools over 25 years, I understand firsthand the importance of having a school resource officer in every elementary, middle, and high school, not only for safety, but in order to give our youth and our law enforcement officers that safe space to build positive relationships. During a time when other communities were talking about defunding the police, Mount Pleasant continued to invest heavily in groups and programs which will give law enforcement and youth that safe space, which we know will help those relationships to stay there forever. Thank you.
Like our basket weavers blending light and dark colors together, creating works of art, we come together weaving light and hope during dark times with promises of a bright future. Together, we weave.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
My older brother Creighton died on July 17th, 2016. He was 19. He was injured playing lacrosse in high school and prescribed opioids for pain. Legally prescribed opioids led to heroin use. After Creighton's freshman year at college, he asked for help. My mom got him into rehab. 2 days after being released, he unfortunately died from a heroin overdose. Number 22 forever.
Creighton was my son. Sadly, our story is not unique, and it's seldom shared because of the stigma surrounded by substance use. During our darkest hour, we began to see our community rally around us and support us. Our family decided with this we were going to shed a bright light on opioid use disorder. We made a promise to Creighton that we would share our story and we would bring real changes into the community. Wake Up Carolina was then founded. 2 years later, in 2018, we established the first young adult all recovery support program.
In 2021, the number of overdose deaths in the state of South Carolina were equal to the number of homicides, suicides, and roadside deaths combined. As a police agency, we know we're not going to be able to arrest our way out of this problem. In partnership with Wake Up Carolina, we hosted the state's first Overdose Awareness Day and Drug Take-Back Box for unused prescription medications. Together, we're advancing a program to remove the fear of the badge, to treat those that are touched by substances with dignity and respect, and to offer resources and safe spaces for individuals and families just like this one.
A priority for the Mount Pleasant Youth Council has been mental health and wellness, focusing on suicide and drug misuse. We petitioned the South Carolina legislature for more funding for mental health counseling in our schools, and we participated in community events such as Our Community, Our Children to raise awareness.
Working with our youth council and with Nancy's group, we came together as a community and held a public event called Our Community, Our Children to openly address the sensitive cultural issues of teen suicide and drug abuse. We also worked with them to become the first community in our state to give community-wide Narcan training so that every citizen can learn how to reverse a potentially deadly opioid overdose. We are also giving 100% of our opioid settlement funds to Wake Up Carolina to fund a peer support counselor so that our youth and anyone else has a safe place to go deal with this issue.
Working with our 7-year partner, Mount Pleasant Police, we know we are saving lives. Our first priority remains providing a safe place where teens and young adults in recovery can feel safe and supported. Now we are expanding our program to be the first in the country to use a shared database to provide real-time response, treatment, and resources to those in need, and it's working. This all started out of my heartbreak, but now, because of the promise to Creighton and with the support of our community, his light can shine every day.
Like a basket blending light and dark colors, creating beautiful works of art, we come together, weaving lights of hope during dark times, promises for a bright future. Together, we weave.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mount Pleasant. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for being with us today. Jurors, questions?
Hi, first of all, phenomenal job. Thank you for presenting today. You talked about a shared database. I'm curious, what partners are involved and what was the process in putting that one together?
Sure, it's called SIMS, Critical Incident Management System. And the partners that are engaged, and I'm going to speak to part of it, but our true partner can speak to the other part, is it involves first responders with real-time data, real-time details about the person that overdosed, the family members or friends that were with them. It also describes the substances. We were able to gain access as a community recovery organization, non-law enforcement, because of the partnership with Mount Pleasant Police.
Yes, sir. And when you talk about partnership, every single person on this stage, whether it's a resident of Mount Pleasant, the mayor, the town council, any type of city government, police department, we're all in partnership together with Wake Up Carolina because our goal is to save a life, just saving one life. And last year, we talked about it, our numbers were steadily increasing. We had 26 overdoses last year in the town of Mount Pleasant. We implemented this program January 1st, and we've only had 5 overdoses since we've implemented this program. We broke down the barriers. Police Department, I've written tickets, I've worked collisions, and I've tried to make a change. And this is the first time we've made a change. And it's made possible because our town council, our mayor, our city manager wrote a blank check to us and says, fix this. What can we do together as a family? And this is where we're at.
And the last thing with that, the beauty of it is, within the moment of notification of the overdose through the Mount Pleasant Police into the database, we are immediately notified, and because of the funded position, we're able to go to the scene within 2 to 3 hours max, provide the support and resources for the overdose individual, or the reversal of an overdose individual, or the one that unfortunately passes for the family, because it's our community, our recovery, and we need to have the opportunity to heal all people.
And as much as we tried as a police department to do it, no matter what, we're still wearing a badge and gun. We needed to bring in that outside source of peer support, someone that could relate, and we are there hand in hand working these cases together, and it's making a difference.
Thank you. I have a question for youth council members. I'd love to hear about how you set your priorities. You shared a little bit about them and how they're coming to life for you.
So yeah, for sure. I have been lucky enough to be on the youth council for 2 terms, and it's been amazing. It's actually super cool because at the beginning of each term, we all sit down and we're like, hey, here are things that we've seen in our community, here are things that we want to make a change on, and we actually make a list of priority projects. So then we talk about that throughout the term, how we can go about doing these priority projects, and then a lot of the times we'll go to the town council and ask them for help and support, and they're more than willing to give that to us. And to not only say, yes, we totally back you, green light, go for it, but they're also like, how can we help? So it really is making a difference in changing the community based on what the youth is seeing needs to be fixed.
And as the mayor of the town, I would like to add, the best thing we ever do to set our priorities is we listen. What you heard today was not government programs, was not something that elected officials ran on or started. These are moms and families whose lives have been touched by some tragedy or a disability in their family. We listen to them, we've been working with them, and that's why we're here today.
Maybe just going off that point specifically, I'm so inspired by the presentation, thank you all. I'm interested, I was reading through the application a little bit and hearing about the growth rates that the city has had, and some of the attention that's emerged in the Public Input Matters series that y'all have been leading. Would love to hear just a little bit about how those efforts have been going. What are some of the things that have changed as a result? How have you been trying to manage both the growth and ensuring that people can still have their voices heard at the same time?
Christina?
Good morning. Yes, Public Input Matters is an effort that came out of our last comprehensive plan. We adopted our state comprehensive plan in 2019. Some of the priorities that came out of that were quality of life initiatives and then also preservation. Those were the two things that we set our goals for. So in terms of quality of life, we started a series that followed the comprehensive plan called Public Input Matters. And the goal of that was to divide our town into different sections. We divided the town into 7 different sections because there are unique things that matter depending on where you are in the town of Mount Pleasant. We are essentially a peninsula. So if you're in the north end of town, it's the suburbs, it's the families and the schools. The further south you go, we're right across the river from downtown Charleston. And so there's unique characteristics to each of those. So we met within each of those individual communities starting last fall, all the way up until April. We're still working with our consultants to get the final results of that, but what we did find initially was there were a lot of interest from our homeowners associations in learning more about what they can do, for example, to be prepared for hurricanes. And we've got so many, you spoke to our growth rate, we've got so many new people. The last big hurricane that we really had was 1989. Our population was about 30,000 people, now we've got about 95,000 people. These people haven't been through a hurricane and they know it, and they wanted to learn a little bit more about how they can be prepared. But we're also listening to them in terms of what sort of infrastructure they may want, things like sidewalks or mobility, and it's unique probably to each and every one of those areas.
Good morning, and the singing was a perfect way to start a Sunday morning, so thank you very much. And welcome in Jill Marie and Trista. Thank you for telling us your story, and that is one of my questions. It is so inspiring to see how the business community is involved. How also does that cross over perhaps to the youth council or to the school system in terms of that inclusiveness that you're all building?
Good morning. Well, right now with autism, I'm going to speak about autism, it's 1 out of every 36 according to CDC. Just a couple months ago it was 1 in 44. It's one of the fastest growing developmental diagnoses in history, and the medical community estimates it will surpass diabetes by 2025. So this will affect all classrooms. And we're a community that, with my son in particular, 40% are nonverbal. It's going to affect the educational system. But one of the biggest things that we're facing is 6% are more likely to commit suicide due to loneliness and isolation. My son, being nonverbal, lives in his room on an iPad. To have friends, to have a school teacher that understands, and to be able to be inclusive in our community, but mainly for Mount Pleasant, to be the voice of the voiceless. And they hear us. Mayor Haney, all our council members, they hear us. And I'm just a mom, but they heard us. And the future is so bright, but with these numbers, we have to become inclusive. And every single person has a special place in the community. And in Mount Pleasant, we're making our first town to be certified as an autism-friendly town, the first in the Low Country in South Carolina. So it's very important, especially through schools, because that's where this younger generation and my son will coexist together.
I just want to add to that. In terms of involving the schools in a lot of this youth and children with disabilities, there are special education classes. They're integrated throughout the public school system. Trista went through that school system. Some of our other employees have gone through that school system or are still in it. But we've made it in conjunction with the teachers that run these programs. We were able to meet them through things that the town has done, seminars that they've had about diversity, inclusion. And so we've taken pizzas to the schools specifically for these special groups, but they've also come not just to our restaurant where they do a field trip, but out in the community as a whole. Their instructors are given so much support from the community that they're able to take them to so many of the open spaces that we have. They also, Trista has her own business where she has a sewing company, and she presents her products all over the town of Mount Pleasant. These young people see that, and our young people in our restaurant see how happy everyone is to have a job opportunity. You see Trista and the people that Trista works with all the time, not just at the restaurant, but at her company, and the joy that they bring what they do every day. The classroom kids see that, and they want to grow up and be like Jill Marie. She's 64 years old and she goes to work 5 days a week. No one expected that when Jill was born 64 years ago. But when you introduce that to the youth, not just to the ones with special abilities, to all of the youth, they see that, and the whole town is better because of it, because from these 7 areas of Mount Pleasant that we have, each one is so different, but this blood runs through all of it. And so it's really magnificent to see what the town does for everyone, but most specifically those with special abilities.
So I have a lot of friends, I'm in high school right now, that work at MIGS, and when they work with people with special abilities, it really just unarms the stigma around working and communicating with people that have, they just function a little differently, and it's completely normal. We're human beings, we're made differently. So I've seen that personal impact with close people that are like, you know what, why are we so hateful to certain groups? Why do we put the stigma? So people like you guys are really just completely unarming it and just breaking the stigma away.
And as a parent whose son has gone from the peer mentoring classes all the way through graduating in high school, being prepared to actually say that he has an opportunity to go to college and graduate from a university with a life skills training. It's not an academic certified program, but the entire inclusivity and the diversity of the town that has allowed us to maintain the visibility of being a typical person working and giving back to the community. That's exactly what we're doing by working a couple of jobs. As parents, we want our kids to live independently and be able to make their own choices. Some of the things that Frankie has learned through Mount Pleasant, from sport, from his participation in all activity across the board in our town, has allowed him to live independently with 2 roommates, with support at Clemson, and hold down 2 jobs. It's absolutely remarkable.
Mount Pleasant, thank you so much. Go ahead. I haven't talked to you in the time.
I just wanted to bring up that Wake Up Carolina is brought into all the high schools, and just to give parents not only tools and those conversations that are so hard to have, but to let other parents know they're not alone. That's such a taboo, but just knowing that somebody's going through that with you, it's life-changing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mount Pleasant. Your bright light came to us. We feel it this morning. We appreciate you. We're looking forward to visiting with you informally this evening. So thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing your town with us.
Thank you.
little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine.